Hey YouTube, this is React City, this is React Cast, and we are back. I'm Michael.
I'm Rose.
I'm Nikki.
And this is React Cast. So, yeah, we're back with another week, and excitingly, this is the podcast launch day.
Yay!
So,
It's public on YouTube.
mm-hmm. And we actually had a pretty good reception, considering it's been out for 4 hours and we have 100 views on it. That's actually better than Boba Fett's finale episode. I didn't even mean that as a diss, but it is what it is, you know? Did you guys have any expectations for how the podcast would do? I kind of do.
I was a little nervous to have expectations because it's a little bit more personal. Mm-hmm. It's not about one anime so that it would draw a crowd for that anime. So it's depending on people wanting to hear what we have to say, you know? So I'm like, I don't know if I want to expect anything. I might get my heart broken. But I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I wasn't expecting 100. I was expecting maybe among our lowest performing video.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any?
I kind of expected it to be something slow to pick up.
Yeah.
I did expect that it would be among one of our lowest, but I also expected it to be very consistent. I noticed people who like podcasts are consistently listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
So I expected the views to be low, but for it to be consistent with the crowd.
Yeah. I figured that if it were to, resonate with our viewers, that, like you said, it would keep going. Like, I wouldn't expect it to die off because I do enjoy our podcast myself.
Yeah.
So I think people would enjoy it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of expected, honestly, but not worst case scenario. I thought we'd hit like 15 guaranteed views.
Wow.
And best case scenario, maybe 50 throughout the day.
Yeah.
So to hit 100 in 4 hours is really, really good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And comments.
And 4 comments.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks. I think part of that is to do with the fact that I think we mentioned this before, the way our reactions go is our main content, I guess you could say, is the discussions.
Yeah.
That's what our crowd usually likes to hear from us. So a podcast is basically like an hour-long discussion.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense that they would be more interested.
Yeah. I truly feel that is the best part of the channel that we have.
Yeah.
And I hope that one day we can look back and be like, wow, we were celebrating 100 views.
Yeah.
But right now it is very big.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we had a Q&A section. Well, we have a Q&A section in Discord. And you were answering a couple of the questions. I know I said on the last couple of podcasts that you guys can post questions in the comments. And you actually did post one that will come up, I think. But just so you guys know, there's also a section in Discord. So if you want like a more immediate answer for some of them, it may come up there. But also, if there's a question that's really complex, it may come up on the podcast anyway. So don't feel like you need to talk on the latest podcast video necessarily. You could just post it in Discord as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the question was...
Yeah, there was a question from Setsu. Have you guys seen JoJo?
As in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Which one? All of them? You and I have seen the first 2 seasons, like first 2.5 seasons?
The first and a half.
The first and a half.
I'd say like a first and a third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we watched that together, and then I watched Stardust Crusaders, and then the one after that, because I didn't realize it was starting in the middle of something, because it had like a totally different name. So I was like, okay, Stardust Crusaders season 1, and Stardust Crusaders came up, but I didn't realize that it was like a continuation of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures was the thing.
Yeah, you're actually the one who got me into it.
Yeah.
Because you were saying like there's really interesting anime. It's funny. I did really, really enjoy the first season, and most people say that the first season is the slowest season, and you just stick to the first season, and then you'll get to the bam, and on the second season just go, and I had the exact opposite reaction. Remember, we were watching the first season, I was like, man, I love this guy. Yeah, this guy is great. And then it finished, and the second season was like, all right, this new guy is kind of interesting, and then I just lost interest.
Yeah.
Aww.
We just never continued after the first I think it was like 3 episodes of the second season.
4 episodes.
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
But it's a cool concept because it's like an anime that continues throughout the generations. So you see them get older, you see them have a life and stuff like that. But the bizarreness just is hereditary. So
Yeah, this is one of those shows that you're like, wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quick. It took generations.
It took generations, yeah.
It's only on my radar because of the memes.
Mm.
I keep seeing the memes from it, and I'm like, I want to know what that is about.
Meme machine.
Yeah, I from the ones that I've watched, I'd say Stardust Crusader is my favorite season because it retains enough of the bizarre to be like, what is happening? But it's not so bizarre that you're like, I feel like I need to explain myself if somebody catches me watching this.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I can explain.
No, I can't. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And was there another one or?
Yeah, there's one other about ReZero. I thought it was a really interesting question because at first I was like, huh? Tivik asked, do you take ReZero seriously? Basically, they explained.
I like how you give them the voice.
No, because it was such a funny question. I was like, what? But they explained, like just is it fun to watch, or is it cringe, or is it scary, etc. And because the show is really deep in lore and the anime leaving some things out, it's kind of hard to get the full picture. Do you search things up about the characters or just about the overall story?
So I guess are we like super fans or something?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, none of us have read the light novel or the manga or the web novel
Or
other material. But we do really love the lore, and I think you mentioned this in your reply back to them. We try not to look up anything about this show to avoid spoilers, especially since we are behind their release schedule for each episode and stuff. So there's just going to be a plethora of spoilers.
Yeah.
The grace period for spoilers has long expired. So yeah, we try not to look stuff up, and we kind of just depend on other people to fill us in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really, really enjoyed having that foresight to help you guys in an earlier season, where I knew what was coming, so I knew what was not a spoiler and what was a spoiler. Despite I did kind of spoil the auto thing because I didn't know that it wasn't supposed to be that they're friends yet. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh.
But other than that, there were a lot of comments that I saw that I knew not to tell you guys because I saw the show will tell you in this episode, the show will tell you in that episode, and not major things, So it's not like I think people are intentionally spoiling it. I think it's just one of those things that they read the light novels and a manga and they just think it doesn't come up.
Yeah.
So I did enjoy having that foresight, but now that we it's still a small community, but it is a community where we've got people in the Discord who are able to tell us, like, this, you can know this, you cannot know that might be a spoiler. It's kind of funny to see them sometimes say, is that a spoiler? And then the kind of, Steven and King went back and forth a couple times, like, with something a spoiler or not.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so we can kind of rely on them, but I did very much consider watching ahead, even though we were reacting, just so that I could go back to like guiding you guys again. Because I don't like
being in the dark.
Yeah.
I don't like all of us being in the dark.
Yeah.
And
you did mention that before when we're like kind of choosing which shows to react to. You're kind of like, I prefer it when one of us watches the whole thing so that we kind of know. Like, because sometimes in animes things are just unexplained, and the anime thinks it's been explained. It's like, what just happened? Yeah. So if all of us are in the dark for the rest of the anime, it's just it kind of affects the experience.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so it's nice to have a guiding light in the darkness.
My only problem with that is I love his reactions. Like, I have to do the thumbnails.
Does he have reactions?
Yeah, occasionally he will, like, like a big reaction to something, and it's very occasional. But when I get it, I'm like, thumbnail! So I miss those moments. Like, if he's in on everything, like, it's a little harder to get a good reaction. I can play on his lack of reaction, which I have done in TikToks, which, I don't know, we've announced it in videos. I've been doing the TikToks and Reels for our channel now. Yeah. So I'll play on his lack of reaction in some, like, when we're going crazy about something and he's like
yeah, I guess whenever we're watching, I do try to make sure that I don't know, it's like I try to make sure I'm emoting, but when I watch it back, it doesn't look like what it felt like.
You felt more energy than you did.
Yeah, I feel like I remember watching a ReZero episode and I knew it was going to happen. and it made me happy. The scene did make me happy. So I was like, all right, I should make sure to show that I'm happy. So I smiled, and then I looked back, and I just was like...
It's like no reaction.
But I know, I tried.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe you were getting caught up in the show.
Well, that's what I'd think, but I intentionally put effort behind it. You know?
And it didn't happen.
Yeah, so, but at the same time, I don't want to, simulate my reaction.
Yeah.
So I definitely, it's like speaking to somebody, and then you start enunciating every single syllable. Like, yes, you are speaking, you mean those words, but you're expressing it more harshly. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what it is when I already know something's going to happen, but I still want to show the feelings that I am feeling. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to express it, but I don't want to get to the point where I'm faking a reaction. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. So I guess sometimes pushing that expression is just still, it's like pushing nothing. There's still nothing there. You have to push it. Yeah. There was one more question. We saw a question today on the Reactcast where someone was asking about, is Hunter x Hunter a long-term anime?
Yeah.
So that was so from their phrasing, and I could be wrong about this, I'm sorry if it is, I think they're asking, are we going to be watching that over a long period of time when the time comes? I think either way, no matter what we do, it'll be a long period of time, because it's still like 50 episodes, that's 50 weeks a year.
Yeah. Because we've already seen like half of the anime. So we'd be picking up from where we are.
Mm-hmm. I think we were, yeah, I remember you...
80 something.
Yeah, something like that, because there was a big moment that was coming up that we didn't see, and I remember that. I was waiting for you to see it. So...
We were on the Chimera Ant arc.
Yeah. They're tiny little ants, and they're hunting them down. So right before the big stuff happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Why is that funny?
Nothing.
What? I mean, if you guys are laughing, that means we did see something. So
no, it's like tiny little ants, and they're hunting them down.
Oh.
Like, yeah, that's exactly what happens in this arc.
Oh, so you already saw them being big ants?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought she hadn't seen the transformation of the ants.
No, the last episode I saw was the 3 really strong guys, including the old guy, comes in to do something. They send, like, power rabbits in to scope it out. That's the last episode we saw.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the clouds? The cloud rabbits?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You were just saying words and it was like, huh?
So you're right before the palace invasion. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew something bigger was about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, spoiler?
No.
Spoiler?
No. It's not
okay.
spoiler.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you can tell, the Palace Invasion arc is big, but we missed 75% of the anime if we start at that point. So I do want us to do it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, do we rewatch everything to refresh our memory? But if we do that, then most of the stuff's already been reacted to. Mm-hmm. I don't really like that. Mm-hmm. But also, we could do a short refresher little skits where we talk about arcs and how we felt about arcs.
Yeah.
Most people probably wouldn't care about seeing that, though. Mm-hmm. So then who are we doing it for? Mm-hmm. But if we do just jump right to where we were, there's going to be endless comments like, but where's all the other reactions?
Yeah.
You know? So we're still trying to figure out the best way to do it, and at the same time, the best time to do it, because there's a lot of shows right now that are really good and popular to watch. And Hunter x Hunter is popular, but if there's other shows that we haven't seen, why not do those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the iron's hot, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And so to the actual first question that I had.
That was just Q&A.
And the podcast starts now.
Death Note. Yeah, Death Note. So, remember I was telling you guys Naomi was something interesting about her? The author was talking about?
Oh, that's right. The black-haired girl.
By the way, spoilers up to...
Episode 7.
7. Episode 7 in Death Note. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Up to episode 7 in Death Note. So, well, actually, it's going on Patreon. Episode 8, The Glare. So, Naomi, she's the character who is the fiancé to Ray Penber in Death Note. Mm-hmm. And Ray dies. Mm-hmm. So, Naomi was supposed to do a lot more in the manga originally.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. The author intended her on joining the task force. And she was supposed to be an integral part, and she was supposed to be basically, what's the best way to describe it? Like, almost like the right hand to L in terms of intelligence, whereas the chief is kind of like the leadership and stuff like that. So she was supposed to be integral. The problem is the author legit said he wrote himself into a corner because he accidentally made her too smart.
Yeah. She was way too smart. She knew so, like, anything she figured out what she figured out in how many days?
Yeah.
Real fast. And then she knew, like, no, I have to talk to Elle and no one else.
Because he's definitely not Kira.
Yeah. And what she figured out was really important. If Elle knew that, I think it would have been like end of show real fast. So I understand her having to die. I didn't like it, but
yeah. He said that the show, the plot was finished if she links up with them, because given the intelligence that she has shown, it would be a huge character break for her to not figure everything else out.
Yeah.
And Elle for not Elle to figure everything else out.
yeah.
So she had to die. Even though, but there isn't. This has a alternate universe.
Oh, like
Sometimes
a what if?
author does it. Yeah, the author does alternate universe for this, and in that he keeps her around, but he does it differently because he still liked the character. But it didn't come out the way he wanted it.
So did you make her dumber or something?
No, it's just the series of events that occurred are different, so it doesn't put him like in as much danger.
Okay.
Yeah. It is one of those things. Remember, I told you about how I watched an interview with George R. R. Martin, the famously long writing guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy who wrote Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
he said there's like two types of authors. There's the architects and gardeners, and it seems like this was a gardener where they let the characters, they make the characters, and then they act as they would act, and then you trim off the fat. And then there's people who plan every single thing, which is what I think Attack on Titan's Arthur is.
Yeah.
But
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Gardner feels more organic, I guess you could say, but you run into those things where sometimes characters
Just do what they want to do.
They do what they want to do.
It's like, I'm ending your manga here.
Yeah.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'll end you.
Yeah. Have you guys ever played RPG games?
RPG.
Does RuneScape count?
Not really. I mean, it's an MMORPG, but not really. Let me explain what I mean. So, RPGs, you can obviously play them however you want. But if you role play an RPG character, that means you are acting out as your character would be. So then you create your character, the character screen, and then decide what they're about, and then you play it as them. I have played Dungeons and Dragons at one point, so I know it somewhat, though I didn't really understand the concept at the time. But I do get kind of what it is to do what the character wants. So I was just wondering if you guys understood the feeling of the character wouldn't do that, even if you want to do something.
Yeah, I kind of do when I'm like playing a specific character in Sims. It's like I like randomize their traits and turns out she's mean. So I'm like, I'm not getting anybody no birthday presents. I'm not inviting anyone over to dinner. She's not making friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not the way I would want to play the game, but this is the character that I'm playing.
Yeah.
I understand the concept, but like when it comes to like actual gameplay, I would find it very hard to not play according to my own character. Like I put myself, my emotions into whatever character I play as. So that's why whenever like I play like any game, like I forgot what game did we not recently, but there's a game we started like a multiplayer game, and maybe it was SOTOR, and I accidentally named it like Nikki instead of like giving it a cool Star Wars name. And you guys, why is your character's name Nikki? It's like, I don't know, it's my name. And it's just because of the way I think. Whenever I play as a character, I play as me. So
like, what would I do in this?
What would I do? So I play all games like that.
Yeah.
But I do understand the concept of like when it comes to storytelling, and I do actually think that way when it comes to stories. Like when we watch anime or we watch any live action, like I'm thinking like Boba Fett and that kind of thing, I always do think about, did that move make sense for that character? And if it doesn't, it like irks me. I'm like, they want to do that. Yeah. You know, so it does affect me in that way. But when otherwise, no.
All right. I was about to say, I think you're an architect. I think you read the book, but yeah, yes, you do get it.
Yeah.
And some interesting news just came about. So Crunchyroll announced that Jujutsu Kaisen movie 0, it will be in the United Kingdom March 18th.
March? Oh, wow, that's fast.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not fast. We were watching it after it had aired, so.
Yeah. Well, the movie. You know, the movie
the
that
movie,
we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it comes out in the United Kingdom, I assume it's English.
It should be.
We'd be able to see
Remember
it.
the movie that came out in December? It's like, it's coming to...
Oh, that's
English.
right. I forgot it had come out in December already. Okay, cool.
I was kind of surprised because it made a lot of money at the box office, so I was like, are they really going to let Crunchyroll just stream this thing? Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So, but they specified in the United Kingdom. Does Crunchyroll have like domains that they prevent certain countries from being able to see things?
Well, most.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say most places are region locked, but United Kingdom shares pretty much everything with the US. If anything's locked, it's usually from US to England.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most streaming services do that. Whereas, like, you can watch this in America, but not in England, or England or not America. So that's why people use VPNs, because it's like, hey, now I'm in Germany. And it's like, now I can watch this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is hilarious that is the biggest proponent of VPNs right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably not what most people are using it for, really. But it's when an ad comes up for it, it's always, hey, Netflix region blocking you? Use this to circumvent the regulations.
Yeah.
It's funny that's
it's
accepted.
like, don't worry about like protection on the internet. We can be somewhere else on the internet to get more content. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also kind of made me wonder just how difficult it is to get a theater to show your movies. Or they're willing to have Crunchyroll to stream this thing, and of course they're their partners. But is it that they truly don't think it would put enough people in the seats? Because I'm sure a couple theaters, maybe like a couple big theaters, just one night only showing these movies.
Hmm.
When I think of anime going to a actual big theater in the US, it sounds laughable to me.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Like, and I think it's the mindset of where anime is still an amateur thing in a lot of Western minds. And even in my mind, I think if I tell someone I'm watching anime, it's like I'm a nerd, you know?
Yeah.
And when I meet people who are like, yeah, they're totally into anime. Oh, you're a nerd too, yay!
Yeah.
You know, so I don't like see it as like Marvel, for example.
Regular content.
Yeah. No, like when I think of Marvel is still like a comic thing that came from, but it's more mainstream, and anime is not as mainstream, I think. I think maybe people are aware of that kind of mindset when it comes to anime, and like thinking, oh, maybe we shouldn't even attempt. It might be a failure. So it's better to just set it on streaming.
Yeah. I think it's kind of that, but also like the market for anime is people who are already on those streaming platforms to watch anime. So if they hear it to like come out to a theater, they're probably just going to wait for it to go to streaming.
As we would.
Yeah,
because we would want to do reaction. That's one thing. But seriously, just...
Most people... I mean, the generation that it's targeted towards just don't want to go out their house.
Don't want to go out. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so...
Good point.
Yeah, it's also partially... That's part of why theaters were dying in the first place. So now, it's just go straight to streaming.
I did have something to add to the streaming thing. I also think, at least in the last couple of years, streaming has been elevated in people's minds as well. I think about Disney releasing Marvel movies and Marvel series on streaming. It's like poor Black Widow, like she was so upset.
Yeah.
It was supposed to go into theaters, instead they put it in Disney streaming.
Yeah, and her cut of the tickets, I think she was supposed to get a portion of the box office profits from theater. Yeah.
So I wonder if it was them saying maybe it won't do as well, let's not risk it, or it was just them saying no, streaming is a better way to go. It's going to reach more people or get us more money. Because I wonder which of that it is. Because if it's the latter, it would speak to the growth of streaming and the way people are looking at, no, if I get on this streaming platform, this is great. I still think theaters it's still iconic, you know, get into theaters. But I do hear what you're saying, like it is dying. A lot of theaters are literally going out of business.
Well, that is mostly due to the pandemic.
The pandemic is helping that.
And Black Widow came out was it late 2020?
I don't remember.
It was between late 2020 and mid 2021. So it was like right in the no-go zone.
Yeah.
So them going, okay, nobody's in the theaters, let's just go straight to streaming. That is, it is still, like, I'm just thinking of her part now. Part of her doing the movie was, that's her pay, right? Yeah. And then you just said, we're not going to pay you, basically. And they should have, like, renegotiated if they knew they were going to do that. But anyway.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, not necessarily like a countrywide, all theaters near you or anything. Just like this one, that one, that one, that one. Localized areas, and you guys can, like, if you guys want to see it in big theater screen, you can. Because they did that with, what was it, Dragon Ball Z, but Dragon Ball Z is also the biggest anime probably ever in terms of Western audiences.
Yeah.
But, yeah. This one is another question. I don't know how much we can talk about it, though, because you're kind of still new to anime in general. But do you think anime is getting better or worse?
Better or worse?
I mean, like, I've seen some comments where people talk about, like, animes aren't as good as they used to be. And, you know, it's just one of those blank terms where you're not really...
I've seen what animes used to be. We haven't gotten any worse. I mean, there's more isekai. So I guess better? It's... No.
No, I'm saying, like, you feel like it's been getting better.
No. I actually feel... Well, maybe it might be getting better. I feel like we have more good shows more often than it used to be. Like, back... Because I'm talking about, like fuzzy, weird looking chins and foreheads, like, type anime. Where it's like... If anybody knows Fruit Basket, like the first Fruit Basket that came out, that old, so like 90s anime type stuff. Those anime... It was hard to find a good one, but if you found a good one, everybody was watching that one. Yeah. Basically. And then you'd wait maybe a year or two to find like another good one. But now we're having like a couple good ones every year. So I guess it's been getting better, but it's a lot more saturated now.
I was going to say that.
There's a lot more animes now, and an unfortunate number of them are isekai. So, like, seriously, have you browsed like the front page lately? Like 90% are isekai.
I did notice that whenever
paper thin plot.
I did notice that whenever we opened up Crunchyroll and the title screens were coming up, they were almost always isekais, and I think it's because it's an increased demand for isekai, I think, but also it's such an easy plot line. Because if the main thing that shonen has been the biggest genre forever, and the reason it's been the biggest genre forever wasn't because necessarily kids of that age were watching anime. It's because people connected to that age with anime. It's the same reason why with so many animes, people were at high school age, or they're in school for whatever reason. They're in school, even though it has nothing to do with being in school.
In school, saving the earth, fighting the aliens.
That's the time period people felt the most free in their lives for a lot of the time. And animes and mangaka connected with that as well. So maybe in their lives they felt that way as well. So most animes that got popular were of that genre. So I think isekai is kind of like the next step in that evolution, where not only are they in the school age, but they usually come from a school age and they have a really hard background, and now they get a second chance. Everybody wants a second chance. A chance to be free or feel like they have power in a world where they previously didn't. That's the basis of all the isekais. You know? So I think that's why not most of them, but a lot of them, a lot more than it used to be, have become isekais.
Yeah, because like everybody like thinks about like what they would do in that world, and then basically everybody just wrote it down. But then I think it's I don't want to call it like lazy writing, because people are interested in it, right? Yeah. So we're perpetuating the problem, but it's like you don't have to flesh out the character in their world with their culture, which means you'd have to flesh out their culture and their world. You just flesh out the character as you know them here, and then put them in weird world number 65.
I think it's kind of, it's like I want to say almost exaggerated. It's exaggerated version of the Western idea of live action everything that's happening. Because it's a formula that works for some reason, that connects to just that perfect funny bone in the human psyche, that like, yes, they will click on this. And it's basically easy money. Somebody, if there's a person with a mind that they love all the isekais, they don't care about the paper thin plot, they're like, no, it has the character doing what I want and the harem and all, whatever it is, you know. And they're getting what they want from it, they're gonna keep watching them. And so the people who are making them are like, easy money. They want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like they're banking on people clicking this very similar to the last thing you just watched, just with different faces character.
Yeah. I think along that vein, I've also seen a lot of anime where it's like absurdly strong main character, even if he's from the world. It's like, I don't remember the name of it, but he comes from like one of the hardest levels towns. It's kind of like a video game. The town is the hardest level, but he's the weakest one there, so he thinks he's really weak. But then he goes to like a starter town, and he's like the strongest person there ever. And so that kind of thing where they just want the person to be super strong in this world for whatever reason. It kind of defeats the stakes, though, and of course they still have their harem. So I saw one like a guy got isekai'd back into his own world. That was one. That was funny. Because I'm like, what's the point? He's still super powerful. Okay. So just that kind of anime is everywhere, but it's hard to make it compelling, which I think is why I liked Re:Zero, because our main character is super weak and he's struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, I was thinking about Re:Zero in this context. Re:Zero is weak, but not, because he just happens to...
His name is Re:Zero? No.
Oh, sorry. Subaru just happens to be able to overcome the things he faces, whether it's making the right connections or being in the right place just at the right time or whatever it is, he does overcome. And what that... I was wondering, like, you have the formula of... person from high school comes to New World, gets superpowers. What makes Re:Zero work? One, it's a great plot. But two, is the fact that he is himself, but he still wins. You know, even though he's losing a lot. But he still wins something. And it's like, oh, that feels like I could do that. Like, I can be normal and do this, you know? So it still hits you in the heart.
I think it's the stakes for me. Because, like, in every struggle he's had, there's a very real possibility that he will lose. Even though he has overcome every single one of them thus far, it's still like, are we gonna see him lose right now? Is there gonna be a obstacle so insurmountable that he can't Subaru his way out of it? Basically, he needs to come in.
Yeah. So. I agree with everything you guys are pretty much saying. I think for Subaru, it's kind of the rule of, you know, whenever there's a bad guy, they usually come in and it's like, man, this guy's really... Like, every time a bad guy comes into any show, like, why did he do that? Even though, like, he does something really mean, even though he doesn't have to. It's because whatever's about to happen is about to be really bad to him, and they need the audience to not feel for them. They need the audience to accept that this person deserved what just happened to them. So it's kind of, like, scaled. So for... Subaru, I think the author realized that a lot of isekais fall flat because the hero doesn't really pay for what he gains. And for Subaru, he pays dearly. He pays too much for every inch that he gains. And it's because of that, the audience can really relate to him, and the audience can really care for him. And yeah, I think isekais in general, I think it's not necessarily the fault of the manga authors that they get pushed onto the main stage. I think it's the fault of the companies. I think it's kind of like in the West we have executives who push bad video game practices all the time, right? Yeah. Like that are harmful to the consumer. That are harmful to the consumer, or they do something that's everyone's like, why would you do that? That's such a stupid move for video games that they're sinking their own ship. Because the companies feel like they're making money. That's all it's about. And so I feel like it's a similar situation where isekais that aren't necessarily either up to snuff or they're very, very, very basic get pushed to the front. It's not necessarily the author's fault. It's the guy who picked them because they thought that, hey, yeah, isekai, right? You guys make money, right? And they push them. Yeah. But, yeah. And for for animes getting better or worse, I do think they're getting, overall the quality is better because even when an anime with a bad plot comes around, it looks better. I can at least appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah, I do feel like it's a volume thing, where before animes were so expensive because everything was hand-drawn and curated. But nowadays we have so many techniques that allow people to cut those corners or do things, much bigger stories for much less budgets. We get shows that don't really get cancelled nearly as much in terms of like mid-season. Whereas before, remember, some shows would just, and the last episode just a PowerPoint because we got cancelled. We don't have budget. There's like one guy doing this. He's using the photocopier.
Yeah.
And that's why some shows were legendary, is because most shows didn't really have the attention and the care that they could get. But when they were good, they were picked because, look, this guy is special. There's something really good about this author. And everyone's going to be a hand drawn on this. We're going to give them all the money in the world. And sometimes they still got cancelled, but they are remembered because they broke the mold.
Yeah.
I won't say it's easier to become popular these days, but there's more tools to help people these days. And there's more in general.
Yeah, I think about game making in the same way too. There are a lot more really good indie games. Like before you have an indie game, you could tell. Yeah. Like they had an indie category, but you didn't have to make a category. You could look and know. But now you have games that are, you would be shocked to know it's one developer.
Like Stardew Valley.
Stardew Valley, I think about.
Incredible,
yeah. The amount of work that has to have gone into that, and he keeps it updated. So there's just the tools, like you're saying, are a lot more accessible, affordable, and to get into it, there's not as high a barrier anymore. There's not like an industry barrier like it used to be.
Yeah. There's an old saying that, a good blacksmith doesn't blame their tools, but I think they're full of crap. The tools are everything, man. The tools are
at least in today's day and age. Like, yeah.
Can't chop wood with a dull axe.
So this is kind of a question about, again, how about you guys feel about the reaction channel. How do you guys feel about watching niche shows versus watching popular shows? Like, do you get the feeling that like it's when I, for instance, showed you guys Baccano, right? It wasn't as popular as other shows, but would you prefer to like watch more popular shows over niche shows like that?
I mean, if it's good, I don't care how niche the show is, because like Baccano, I could watch that like over and over and over again. It was awesome. But watching popular shows, usually they're popular for a reason. Like what is it, Boku no Hero Academia?
Yeah.
It's popular for a reason, because it's fun, because it's good. But yeah, as long as it's good, I don't mind watching niche shows. I don't particularly have a preference.
I don't know, because my only gripe with the niche shows so far is they take a lot of risks, and that's kind of the reason they're niche, because the risk might not go over well with the majority, right? And sometimes the risks they take are have a very heavy emotional toll. And I don't know, you guys can tell in my reactions, I'm a very emotive person, and it's because I'm a very emotional person. So I very much, like, when things happen on screen, I feel it for a long time. Yeah. So I don't appreciate that part of the niche shows. But the ones we've seen so far, with the exception of Code Geass, have not been too bad. Like, I loved Baccano, like
that is not a niche show.
Baccano is not niche?
Code Geass
is
not a niche show.
Oh, I feel like it is slightly, but I don't think it's as popular. It's very popular?
It is a popular show.
Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know. For us, it's not as popular on the channel. But to me, like, as long as I can handle I'm a mainstream viewer for the most part. I don't tend to go with like the niche type of shows, because there's always something that like makes it stand apart, and what most people like, a lot of people like, nah, not really, because of that one thing, and that one thing might actually bother me. So I do tend to err on the side of mainstream, because it's usually more emotionally manageable for me.
I just remembered I watched anime. It was like it was one of those animes that's like 2 or 3 minutes an episode, and I liked the anime as something ninja something. I don't remember what it was called, but it was about these I guess like it's like a paranormal anime where you have like the demons who are like the old, what do you call them, like mythology, Japanese mythology type demons that they like hunt down and kill to save people. So like there was one that does like Cat's Cradle, and if you play with her, you become the next person who's doing that and become demon, and they hunt those kinds of demons down and they kill them. But it was I really liked the anime, but everybody in the comments were complaining about the animation style. It was kind of like a paper animation style where you kind of have like the person. They don't really move very much at all. They have probably like 2 moving parts, and then the background is the same, stuff like that. And people are like, "Gosh, this animation sucks," and I'm like, I don't see a problem with it. So in that way, I don't mind niche animes. It would be considered a niche anime simply because of the animation style. But yeah, I do notice that they really don't like anything that deviates from regular animation, specifically the animation. But yeah, I guess I like niche anime.
I guess that's the conclusion here.
I don't know.
I feel like you've watched so many animes that you have to.
Yeah.
I have to, yeah.
Or it might be like confirmation bias where you've seen so many and you've come across so many gems that maybe you get the feeling that you like them or something.
Maybe.
It could be that just like a food connoisseur, you taste all of the things so much you start to get a finer taste for the actual goodness in it, and just because it's good to everybody, you're like, there's this one thing. What is it? Is it nutmeg?
Oh, there was this other anime that was like that paper-like animation that people in the comments, again, they've watched every single episode, but they're still complaining in the comments. But it was so much fun. It was like Goku Fukudan or something like, I don't remember, is house husband, what is it? Mafia house husband? Yakuza house husband. It was so much fun. It's a comedy anime, but it's the same thing, like 2-minute strips, 2 to 4 minute strips. It got a 2nd season, which I was so happy about. And you'd love the OP, the opening. OP? Yeah. It was so good.
I saw a little comedy skit of the house husband thing where he was like buying flour.
Yes.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yes, it's so funny. Like every single episode is hilarious.
The thing is, on the channel, I think we only have one true comedy show, and it did horrendously bad with everything else.
Yeah. Sells at work.
I don't think Haikyuu's not comedy.
The thing is, it's hard to do a reaction show. I would say it's hard to do a reaction for comedy because there's usually no real plot line to follow.
Yeah.
So you just be like, and he said this joke, he said that joke, and then we laughed.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, that definitely leans more towards the just reactors kind of thing to it. And again, I don't emote very much. And the only show I've ever seen that made me actually laugh consistently was Daily Lives of High School Boys.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
But other than that, it's really, I think the humor in Japanese shows, it's funny. It doesn't hit like a lot of Western comedies do for me.
I feel like Western comedies still tend to have plot lines.
They do. And
then usually they might overstep and go a bit serious.
And go into drama.
People are like,
what's happening? Yeah. That happened a lot in Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Thinking about that.
A little piece of news. Mob Psycho Season 3 was confirmed. There is a small little trailer that's been out for months now, but it's not even really a trailer. But it's believed that sometime either April or October it'll be out.
Okay.
All right.
Big gaps, but sometime this year we should be watching Mob Psycho.
That's awesome. I watched Mob Psycho by myself, and they were thinking to react. I was like, no, I watched that already.
Yeah.
I was recommended to it by someone in my Twitch channel. I was like, I really enjoyed it. Like, I had to stop myself from watching like 4 or 5 episodes at once. I was like, no, pace myself.
Same author who made One Punch Man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could tell.
That is a good, example of overpowered anime character, but it was still a good anime for some reason.
He had struggle.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He was overpowered, but he had weaknesses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His weakness was that he had no weakness, and he couldn't cope with that. And especially with a character like him, you surround him with very interesting people who've got their own thing going on, like Genos. You know? That way you avoid Superman problem by having Superman... What?
I thought you were talking about Mob Psycho.
Both of them.
Both of them are like that?
Yeah. One Punch Man. Well, they're both super...
Yeah.
They just wipe the floor with any opponent, but, they're still great.
I was more talking about One Punch Man.
Okay.
But yeah. In Mob Psycho, there's a lot more emotional struggle. He does wipe the floor with everybody, but he's kind of learning how to understand what it is to be normal, and he wants to be normal. Whereas One Punch Man, he relishes being strong, but he can't find something to test his strength.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even feel strong.
Yeah, and he even dreams about it. Then he wakes up,
just before.
and he's like, "Ah, dang it."
And so this week was also the end of one of our shows, Boba Fett. We already had the big discussion and the talk about the finale, but yeah, that show had a very interesting reception. I tried to stay away from other reactors when they're reacting to a show that I enjoy. If I do go to their channel, I'll go to their channel and just go straight to the comments.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch their reaction, which is a weird thing because before this channel, I watched reactors as my main side content. It was what I watched.
Yeah.
But yeah, now that I finished it, I go back and I see people talking about the show, and they're pretty much on beat with us.
Yeah.
A lot of people, especially in the comments and older, you can tell from the way they're typing, fans of the older Star Wars stuff feel disappointed with the way it went. But it's pretty much, the first half was very weird and lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then the second half was better, but the second half had one episode of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, what's supposed to be going on there? The mods, how do you guys feel about the mods thing? Apparently there was a lot bigger deal about it than I expected.
I kind of expected that there would be some people like that in a world where it's so tech heavy.
Yeah.
But the way that it is you can tell that the creator of Spy Kids made those characters. Or had a hand in making those characters. And that, to me, is the problem.
To me...
Because, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Because even R2 doesn't have as many mechanisms in that one guy's hand as, and that's a whole robot.
Droid, yeah.
So, yeah.
To me, I think they could have been designed a little better. I don't feel Star Wars from them. They feel... The Spy Kids thing explains it for me. They feel like they were invented, but I know they weren't. They were supposedly there before. Like you were telling me? No, they weren't?
No, I was...
Oh.
Go ahead.
No. I was going to let you say... I thought we had said, like, people were saying they were always supposed to have existed or something.
I was saying modifications and people having mechanical parts has always been there.
Like Luke and Anakin, they both had...
Yeah, but something like them, to the extent that they showed later with like the go-go gadgets. No,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it should have been more archaic. Like the thing with Star Wars is it's like a clash of past and future together that it just looks like archaic future.
Yeah.
And they didn't feel archaic.
Yeah, with pogo leg.
Yeah.
Pogo spiky leg onto the
I didn't notice that.
speeder car when the ambassador was trying to get away. The guy pulled up to the side and used his pogo leg to like destroy one of the.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not notice
that.
No.
Yeah.
And the worst was their colorful, shiny.
Yeah, that was just a bad decision.
Like I understand I think he was trying to paint this picture of these guys. They take pride. That's what the water guy, when he was explaining them, said they take pride in their modifications or whatever. So I understand they're kind of like, this is my baby, my ride.
Yeah.
So they're gonna make it colorful. They're gonna pimp it out. But shouldn't their version of pimping out still fit into Star Wars universe?
Yeah, because it's like when you think about like the whole world around them, the brightest thing is literally Boba Fett's green armor. Camouflage colored armor.
Yeah.
It's true.
And the color white. So when you put bright red and bright like baby blue into that world, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And sunshine yellow.
Sunshine yellow. Yeah. It felt to me like someone took like a syringe and injected colored ink into another liquid. Like you could see it moving amongst the mass. Like it just didn't fit.
Yeah. Perfect example when they were going around that last episode checking out the spy points, and they stood out and like, if you're trying to be surreptitious, you're failing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nodding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the director is getting a lot of flack for it, which even if I hate a show, I never direct it at the people. I'll say, this show sucks. it was horrible. I'll say that, but I won't say like you suck. You're horrible. No, that's not okay.
I mean, when you think about it, the director did what the director does. He's done
That's
what
his
he
style.
did with Spike. His style translated over to this.
You hired him.
Why did they hire him? That's the problem. I was just watching I think a video by The Closer Look when he was talking about what happens when the director or the producer has too much creative control. Like there needs to be like a balance where you maintain the direction that you're headed amongst like a group of people, and the whole group of people know the direction you're heading, so that they can say like, no, that's a bad idea, or we should do this, and then somebody else says, well, maybe we could do it like this. And he was talking about Wonder Woman 76's, what do you call it, that director, where she had too much creative control, and you can kind of tell that somebody should have looked at that and said no, but nobody did. And he compared that to Suicide Squad 2 apparently was well received. I didn't know about that until I watched his channel. He was comparing that to that director, where he said he had like a group of people where he trusted their input, and they would say no, you should do this instead, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Even George Lucas, where there was like behind the scenes videos of him making the prequels.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he didn't like the prequels in the behind the scenes, and there was like some other guy was like, no, if you think about it, it's like how weird Star Wars is, the world kind of fits the weird, and George Lucas was like saying like, no, it's still bad, even though, so in that kind of circle, he had the full creative control, but he had to ex-nay himself. So like you have to like figure it out, whatever circle you have, to like maintain the world that you've built.
Yeah, in any process where there's an objective, everybody who's a part of it needs to understand it. I don't know exactly what the situation was with Boba Fett, of course, but yeah, like everything. Like I remember watching like a documentary that was talking about the military, and they said one of the biggest breakthroughs that they had was a leader who understands that people under him need to understand what he wants is way more effective than a leader who just knows how to tell people what to do. Like, we need to take this hill, go. Versus, we need to take this hill because if we don't take that hill, then that place is in trouble, and then everybody can give input as to what will help that goal, you know, but they'll understand why they're doing it. So with Star Wars, what's funny is the reason Star Wars had so much success with the, what do you call it, with the Netflix shows, and not Netflix, you know what I mean, those kind of shows, is because they've been giving people creative freedom, but the people that have been giving creative freedom were the right people who understood the overall vision. And for instance, Dave Filoni, who is basically the wonder child for Star Wars right now. Yeah. But because he became the guy who he would remember things when no one else did.
Wow.
And so he's gotten his chance on these shows to do these directing roles. Yeah. And it's not just that they picked a director with him. He's the guy. And some other directors, there's another one, I forget her name. I think Kate something. I don't want to mix up the last name, but she's another director who has been helping with Mandalorian, and she's also proven herself. So
cool.
I think the process of giving to directors a lot of control is good, but it's also on the director to know that they've got to
have the team.
You got to have the team. Yeah, and I don't know how it went down, but obviously something didn't go right. Yeah. That's everything that I've got for the podcast. Anything else, guys?
I mean, I could go on a tangent about Boba Fett all day.
We talked a long time on that last episode.
I mean, I still have more to say, but let's not.
Yeah. But yeah, so guys, thank you very much for being here. Guys, if you liked your time here, please remember to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Remember to check out the Patreon description if you guys want to see the podcast early, or if you want to see uncut versions of shows or shows early. And remember, leave a comment down below if you guys have a question you guys want to be brought up on the next podcast. And remember, there's a big gap in time if you're watching on public. So thank you very much. I will see you in the city. Goodbye.